Welcome, everyone, to this afternoon's performance of Poetry and the Violin. And I have to say, I'm thrilled with the turnout and the response that we've received, and the from everything, from the poets, from the artists, from the musicians, from all the family of support. I'm here with Dr. Amanda Kemp. And I'd like to introduce, before I go any further, so I'm Michael Jamanis.
Yes, that's a good idea.
And this is part of the Jamanis Project, reaching out and expanding the horizons of what the violin is all about, basically, and breaking down barriers and creating new families. So that's the Jamanis Project, and we're doing this week and next week through poetry and the violin. So we'll be hearing some incredibly powerful works, poetry set to some of the music by Crystal, some of the poems by Crystal, and later in this event. And I also have Matt Woodson right up there who helped with the audiovisual creation and a lot of he kept the beat going. Let's face it.
Well, thank you. Hello, everyone. Glad to be here.
He's your partner in crime.
Yes. We work together in music for everyone, and we're just this. I'm starting to dub this the Matt Woodson years.
The Matt Woodson years.
I like that.
So do I.
They're good years.
Yeah. Thank you. I feel the same way, and so we will begin now with our first performance, which is actually a live performance of the Chaconne Emancipated. And in this live performance, Amanda Kemp and I, Dr. Amanda Kemp and I, are performing together a few years ago at the Roots and Blues Festival, the Box Chaconne, set to text. And actually, I'm not going to describe it any further.
So next up, we have this piece called the Chaconne Emancipated. And basically, it is bringing Bach into conversation with African-American spirituals, musically. And then on top of that, we're bringing in the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., former Black Panther Assata Shakur, and of course, the Emancipation Proclamation by Abraham Lincoln. So enjoy. "153 years ago, Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, marking the first time that the United States government took action on behalf of Black people. He wrote that on the first day of January, in the year of our Lord 1863, all persons held as slaves in any state where the people were in rebellion against the United States would be thenceforward, and forever free. And the executive government of the United States, including the military and naval authority thereof, would recognize and maintain the freedom of such persons and do no act or acts to repress such persons or any of them in any efforts they would make for their actual freedom." 100 years later, an Alabama preacher addressed over 250,000 people in Washington, D.C. on the anniversary of Lincoln's proclamation. He said, 50 years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation, but 100 years later, the Negro is still not free. In a sense, we have come to our nation's capital to cash a check. This promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, will guarantee the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Instead of honoring this sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check, a check which has come back marked insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt, so we have come to our nation's capital to cash this check. We've also come to this Hollywood spot to remind America of the fierce urgency of now. Is not an end, but a beginning. There will be neither rest nor tranquility in America until the Negro is granted his full citizenship rights. Many of our white brothers and sisters, as evidenced by their presence here today, have come to realize that their destiny is tied up with our destiny. They have come to realize that their freedom is inextricably bound to our freedom. We cannot turn back. There are those who are asking, when will you be satisfied? We can never be satisfied as long as the Negro is the victim of the unspeakable horror of police brutality. We cannot be satisfied as long as the Negro's basic mobility is from a smaller ghetto to a larger one. We cannot be satisfied as long as a Negro in Mississippi cannot vote and the Negro in New York has nothing for which to vote. No, we are not satisfied and we will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream. I say to you today, my friends, even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and come to live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. This is the faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. And when we do this, when we allow freedom to ring, we will speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Protestants and Catholics all join hands and sing. In the words of that old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last. 5 years later, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in 1968. Amidst the rage and despair that shook America, a young woman from Alabama took the name Assata Shakur. She wrote affirmation. Affirmation. I believe in living. I believe in the spectrum of beta days and gamma people. I believe in sunshine, in windmills and waterfalls, in tricycles and rocking chairs. I believe that a seed grows into a sprout, and a sprout grows into a tree. I believe in rain and tears and in the blood of infinity. I believe in life. I believe in living, and I have seen the death parade march through the torso of the earth, sculpting mud bodies in its path. I have seen the destruction of daylight and seen bloodthirsty maggots prayed to and saluted. I have seen the kind become the blind, and the blind become the bind. In one easy lesson, I have walked on cut glass. I have eaten crow and blunder bread and breathed the stench of indifference. I have been locked up by the lawless, handcuffed by the haters, gagged by the greedy, and if I know anything at all, it's that a wall is just a wall. Nothing more at all. It can be brought down. I believe in living. I believe in living. I believe in birth. I believe in the sweat of love and in the fire of truth. And I believe that a lost ship steered by tired, seasick sailors can still be guided home to port.
Wow. Well, that definitely that was a big outpouring.
Yes, and it was a lot to receive.
Yes, it was
Especially
a lot for, I'm sure, for folks to receive, but I just wanted to say a little bit about it as a poet speaker of the text.
yes.
So what we did was I heard the Chaconne by Bach for the first time when, like, on the second or third date with Michael, after telling him that I hated Bach, I hated Mozart, I didn't like classical music, and
Who am I dating here?
well, pretty much.
Right.
And he was like, I bet you I could find you some Mozart you would like. And I said, I bet you couldn't. And then he did. And then he told me he was going to be playing the Chaconne every day for a year as a spiritual exercise. Thank you. And I said, and I was like, well, I want to listen to that thing that you're going to play every day
Yes.
by Bach, who I didn't like.
Right.
And it turned out that I was really moved by it. There's so much soul in that. And I said to him, wow, I would love to do this with you, something with this piece in you
Right.
one day,
Mhm.
you know? And it took a couple of years because we had to find a way to speak to each other, you know?
Well, and also I was coming at it from a very classical background when we were creating it at that time. I even listen to it now. The words are so powerful, the delivery is so powerful. My performance at that time and what I am now, it's very different.
Yeah.
And so yes, we had to find our voice together.
Yes.
But and those words that you're speaking continually resonate more and
Yes.
more in a different capacity every day.
Yemaya, Mother, I call to you. Yemaya of the seven seas, Mother of life, help your children. Mommy Water of the seven seas, of the seven squirts that swirl around the planet, salt water cleaning out salt water, burning open sores and wounds, your oceans healing. Yemaya of the seven seas, of seven skirts that swirl around the land, Yemaya, Mother of life, our problem is the water. Mommy Water, the water is poisoning us. The logic of white supremacy inside the water. The logic of fracking inside the water. The logic of lead inside the water. The water is killing us, your children. Yemaya, Mother, I call to you. The water is dividing us. Head from heart, mind from body, feelings from sensations, divided and cut off. Yemaya, this water numbs me. This water distracts me. This truth eludes me in this water. The arsenic in the water, the plutonium in the lumber, in the water, slides down our gullets like a lumberjack, clear-cutting a new path, radon, lead, arsenic, cadmium, white supremacy, heteronormativity, patriarchy seeping into our pores, gulping and gagging. We ask for more. Yemaya, Mother, I call to you. Yemaya of the seven seas, of the seven skirts that swirl around the planet, forgive us. Forgive me for drinking the water, for spreading the water, for not even seeing the water. Yemaya of the seven seas, of the seven skirts swirling around the land, clear us. Clear me, mommy, the water calls back to you. Mommy water of the seven seas, of the seven skirts that swirl around the planet. Yemaya of the seven seas, seven skirts swirling around the land. We need you. Take back the water. Heal the waters. Yemaya, we call to you.
Okay. So
So-
that was Yemaya.
You're kind of seeing the progression
Yes.
of our racial justice for the violin, and
We're seeing the progression of Michael Jamanis.
yes.
I mean, by the way, he was barefoot during that performance. I just want to say that out loud.
Shout out to Matt Woodson. I was barefoot doing that.
Yes, you were.
Yeah,
I think I might have been too.
I think you were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can confirm.
Hey, so and that was a performance we did for that was during actually COVID quarantine, I think, because
Yeah,
I remember
the
going.
summer.
Yeah, and it was Station One Center for the Arts. Thank
Yep.
you for putting on that festival, the virtual festival that we were all invited to participate in. So that was from that, but it was original
Yes.
text. Could you elaborate?
Thank you. I was just going to say, let me talk about the poem. Okay, so Yemaya is in the West African cosmology, is the mother of life, representing the seven seas and the oceans from which life comes. And that poem came when Michael and I were away on like a writing retreat. And I was feeling really tired of writing protests. And I really wanted help. I wanted spiritual connection. And so I started calling on Yemaya. And yeah, so that's where that came from. And then I shared it with Michael. And so what you heard him do musically was an improvisation off the melody. There's a traditional melody associated with Yemaya. Mm-hmm. So Michael took that and very gently wove around.
Yeah, that was a very gentle weaving. Sometimes they're not as gentle.
Sometimes he's not gentle.
That one was right. That was a very gentle weave. But before we continue, I'd like to just say, first of all, a shout out to Racial Justice from the Heart for helping to sponsor this event. And these events do not happen. I mean, it's pay what you can. So we're in the chat. I believe there is an opportunity if you'd like to donate to the Jamanis Project. We welcome your donations to keep producing events like this. So please give. And
please do.
Please do, yes. And the other thing is, we also like to appreciate our community and special people, special centers in our community. The last program that I did, I donated a portion of the proceeds to Crispus Attucks Community Center. This program, we are presenting a spot for them to give a little description about what goes on at Crispus Attucks, and you will have the opportunity to donate to Crispus Attucks Community Center as well, an organization that I have worked with for many years, and many of us have been through their doors. And
Many of us.
it is so supportive, and Joshua Hunter is now going to let us know a little bit more about what's going on at the center today.
Nice transition.
Thank you.
You're doing good.
Hi everyone, my name is Joshua Hunter and I'm the Program Director at Crispus Attucks Community Center. What a year this has been. COVID-19 may have looked different in each of our lives, but has impacted us all. The Crispus Attucks Community Center works not only to improve the quality of life for our youth and families in Lancaster, but also offers programs and cultural events which preserve and celebrate African American heritage and history in a meaningful way. Food security has been a priority during the pandemic. In order to meet our community needs, we ramped up our food bank to every Wednesday from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. and redesigned our dine-in lunch program, making to-go meals, and that takes place every Tuesday and Thursday from 11 a.m. till noon. In addition, Crispus Attucks sponsors community-wide cultural events, including Lancaster's annual Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Breakfast, Black History Month events, and the Juneteenth celebration. Crispus Attucks is currently helping with the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. You may contact us for additional information. We are currently engaged in a strategic plan to drive a thriving future for the center. I ask that you check out the Crispus Attucks Facebook page and complete the survey because we truly value your feedback. We ask that you continue to wear your mask and follow CDC guidelines as we are gearing up to reinstate youth programming at the center. We are thankful for this partnership and hope you are excited as we are for this project. We are humbled and grateful for the continuous support of the center. We ask that if you would like to donate, to follow the link below, and know we appreciate your generosity. Thank you.
So Crispus Attucks Community Center, incredible space here in Lancaster. And I believe the link is to donate is in our chat. Thank you, Mark, for posting that. And thank you, Joshua, for appearing at today's program. And
We've performed there.
yes, we've performed there.
He rehearsed there.
I rehearsed there.
We have a long-standing relationship with
Yeah,
Crispus Attucks.
I
so,
love Crispus Attucks
you know,
Community Center.
give a little bit, give a lot.
My
give
mom,
whatever
my
you
mom
can.
has taught piano lessons there. Mr. Woodson has taught.
Yeah.
Now you're Mr. Woodson. When we talk about you as a teacher, Mr. Woodson is back.
The Matt Woodson
Yeah,
years.
So we're looking forward to the center opening up to hosting
Doing their
live
youth
lessons.
programming.
Yes.
Okay, let's get to Crystal.
Yes. So we have now Crystal. I'll let you take it away from here. I know it's a little different format than what we've been doing before. I was thrilled to receive your poetry, and so then.
Does everyone know that Crystal is really a composer?
She composed. Did I
And
give
a
you
librettoist, and she's a poet. And for this purpose, we're featuring her as a poet.
Right. And the tango that you heard before
Was her music.
was her
Sure.
music.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to say it out loud. Okay.
Yes, which is important.
Come on, Crystal, interrupt us.
Oh, okay. So we are starting with Bebop, if I remember correctly. It's a poem I wrote while listening to musicians at Washington Square Park in Manhattan in New York City. Those are my thoughts there. And now I'll share the poem with you and you'll hear music that it inspired. Bebop. B, B. B, B, B. Bebop. Bop. Bop. Pop. Drop. Don't flop. Or turn that flop into a flip. B, B, B. Hip. Drip. Slip. Slide. Flip flop. Tip top. Trip trot. Trot like a fox. Trot like a carousel horse, come alive and free. Not like plastic, ceramic, stone. Come alive and free. Come alive and free. Come alive and be. Be, 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 be. Be, be, be. Be who you are. And by the way, you are.
Oh, sorry.
So, Singularities is a short poem that was inspired by something that happened this winter. Singularities. Singularities crystallized for a moment, plunging or drifting into a pile of forebears. If noticed, precipitating delight or chagrin or indifference before deforming into dregs in the ground. We are. So I was informed you might want a brief history lesson for the next poem, which is called Farewell to Monuments. So I moved to Richmond in 2018, and I have never lived in a place that so fragrantly has celebrated its Confederate history, particularly in public art. So about the monuments. So the Confederate monuments on Monument Avenue, which is a significant thoroughfare in Richmond, were built in 1890 to 1929, starting with the one of General Robert E. Lee. The dedication of the Lee statue occurred in 1890 during a Confederate veterans reunion, and celebrations of Confederate culture and history took place at the memorials for decades. Following the killing of George Floyd, protesters reclaimed the circle at the base of the Robert E. Lee statue and renamed this space Marcus David Peters Circle after a 24-year-old high school biology teacher who was killed by a Richmond police officer in May 2018, while Peters was unarmed and suffering from a mental health crisis. The statue, its pedestal, and its circle became a site for constantly changing protest art, Juneteenth celebrations, a community garden, and a photo exhibit that taught about Black and brown people who have been killed by the police in the United States. In 2020, the mayor of Richmond followed local legislative procedures for taking down the city's Confederate statues on Monument Avenue and elsewhere, although some of them had already been taken down by protesters. The remaining ones were removed in July 2020, and they remain in storage to this day. The Robert E. Lee statue, however, is the property of the state, and the governor declared it would be taken down, but a lawsuit has been filed against his declaration, a lawsuit that continues to this day. And in January 2021, the state built a fence around the entire circle, and it prevents further protests either for or against Confederate values. So that's the story of general history of this location. The photos that are in the upcoming video I took on June 5th, 2020 at Juneteenth 2020, and that's where I'm in that photo, and on September 27th, 2020. So here is the poem, Farewell to Monuments. Goodbye, Confederate President. Goodbye, Confederate General. Disgraced disenfranchisers of bodies that looked like mine. Goodbye, segregationist governor who couldn't shut the university doors on bodies that begat mine. Hello, generations of marchers whose footsteps I channel on a solo promenade to shed indignity and say farewell to monuments.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
I think, Matt, thank you for the video too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The pictures are so powerful, and the video that you created around that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Matt did all the videos.
That's it. Well, yes, he did all the videos,
Yeah.
and we didn't even coordinate our dress, but I noticed it in the second one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's
Should we look at the
let's look at the Q&A and see what's going on, and open this up for conversation. All from the whole program.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a couple questions in the Q&A here. I will as well put the links from earlier in the chat again. One for the Jamanis Project if you're interested in donating. Also, the Crispus Attucks Community Center, a donation link for there, as well as a link to get more content from Dr. Kemp as well. I'll put those in the chat. And then feel free to continue to add any questions or comments in the Q&A as we go. I'll go ahead and get started here. Catherine Jones said, beautiful. 7 skirts that swirl around the land. Yemaya. Couple more for praise here. Sherry West says, no questions. Exquisite.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here's one from, I apologize if I say your name wrong, Lemuel Woodson. And this is there any consideration to add dance or movement to either of these pieces? And this was submitted back for the Yemaya, the first couple pieces.
You know
We
what?
actually have.
Yes.
We have done that from time to time.
Yes, we have. And Lemuel, thank you for saying that.
Yes.
I think that we for both of those pieces of mine, we've had movement, and I would just love to keep it moving in that direction.
Keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
Keep it moving with the movement.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else? What else you got?
Have- Beth Parkhurst says, powerful comparison of poisoning of the water to the poison of racism.
Yes.
How about a poem on Oshun?
Oshun.
Oshun, yeah, sorry.
Thank you. We'll see. Thank you.
Nita Landis says, wow. And Julie Staudenmeyer says, so lovely. Thank you for sharing your gifts of poetry and music.
Okay.
Those are the main questions in your chat now. Anybody has any other ones you can post in the Q&A now?
Okay.
And
I know we're going a little bit over time, but can I put a question to Crystal, or what?
Yes,
Or were you
okay.
going to say something?
no, go ahead.
So, Crystal, what was it like for you to have your poems, to see what music your poetry inspired? Just what was that like for you?
I think because I've been writing poetry and writing music, each of them off and on since middle school, and I have done very little of bringing them together. And I would say that Michael in particular has inspired me to consider doing that more, as when I have projects that are on similar themes or inspired by similar events. So honestly, other than you mentioned I was a librettist because my dissertation was a chamber opera for which I wrote the libretto, the lyrics. I think maybe 2 other times have I set my writing to music. And so it's fun, but it's also fun to just be a poet for a day, because I spend the majority of my studies and my life and my performances and different things being a musician. So it's fun to honor that part of me in this way, in a way that I haven't, or that I very, very rarely have.
Awesome.
I have to say, it was I was knowing that you were a composer and I'm asking you for your poetry. It was a little intimidating, for me to set music to the poetry. I thought, what am I doing here? She could do it herself. And I do want to mention that the Farewell to Monuments poem is being set to the March Ride Vigil. It is set that we will be premiering on the, which is a work of yours that we're premiering on Music for Everyone's Songs for Justice album that is coming out. The 45s that are coming out. The poetry for me, it really helps me gain a vision in the music. And it was like you said, well, it's great to write poetry outside of writing music and the rigors of the daily stuff. For me, thinking of or dreaming up what was to come or what kind of inspiration from your poetry, that was for me like liberating. And if anyone knows in the chat, in the Q&A, if you just want to put what singularities was referring to, who was listening, right?
Oh shoot!
If you put it in,
I missed it.
right?
Oh,
What
no.
singularities was referring to? Crystal,
You do have a question about the poems in the chat here.
Oh, good.
Awesome.
Okay.
What's the question?
Polly Atwood asks, were the 3 pieces you did to Crystal's poems improvisation, and was Crystal present as you were working on them? So powerful. Love from Polly and Wendy.
Aww. Polly and Wendy.
Oh yeah, nice to hear from you, Polly and Wendy. Okay, so I'll chime in, and Mr. Woodson, you may come on board too, because
Nice.
yeah. So Crystal, the process was Crystal submitted the poems. We heard her read it.
Yeah, I sent them recordings of me reading them.
And actually one night, I came up with this little riff, this A minor scale in thirds, and it was just kind of going through my head, and then I was listening to the first poem, which is all based on kind of bebop, freedom, and I am, how it ended. I thought, oh, and so I actually, prior to setting this improv to bebop, I actually called it the escape. That scalar passage underneath was kind of the guy trying to get out and be who he is, or whatever it may be. Whatever it may be, it's a symbolic thing of just trying to reach out and be, be, and then you'd have the dissonance from above, putting you down, and so that was where it grew from, and then I think the others actually kind of grew out of that. And Matt Woodson was very helpful, because then we did the looping thing.
Yeah. If some of you guys saw, I believe in the first one, it actually started off with a video of me pressing the loop pedal. So what we did was, for bebop, I think all of them had a loop.
They all had
They all had a loop. For bebop and singularities, the loop was violin. For Farewell to Monuments, the loop was drums and violin. But it was pretty cool adding that extra layer. So then you also had a nice little bass that you could even take things to a next level, because you have something that you can, that can hold down the fort, almost essentially, for you, something that can hold down the fort, and, the creative side of you just explodes and things just come out.
I'm a big fan of improvisation, free improvisation. So, I mean, I was like, go be your musical selves.
But for you and Matt,
Yes.
So do you like that singularities piece? Did you?
Mm-hmm.
You seemed like you had to have more coordination.
Well, actually, we had all of them had that loop, and we came up with a loop, because it was actually we extracted it out of, we just kind of morphed it, and it was appropriate to the particular poem. And like bum 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 ba da dum bum bum bum, that kind of tension that is there, and then and that one, and then putting the little kind of quasi Dixie theme above it, and so you have a little structure, but the loop really helped to just go over it. I think it makes it. Do you have anything to add with that, Matt?
The singularities, because he was playing.
Oh yeah.
Oh well, yes, well yeah. With singularities, I believe most of them. I think singularities we probably did 2 or so takes, just to kind of figure out what me and Jamanis, we're both, since you have 2 melody, instruments versus percussive, and the violin. So then you have those two melodies. So kind of figure out what kind of ideas we were both bringing to the table, and then kind of combining them all together. And the Jaman's going like, oh, when you hit the side of the steel pan, that's really cool. And I'm like, okay, awesome. Well, let me try to think of ways to incorporate that some more in the next time. And then basically just our, what's our word? Our chemistry for, the rest of it. The musical chemistry that we've built and, have. And that just kind of comes out.
It was unrehearsed. I mean, our ending. Our ending on the
Yeah.
Whew, we ended together.
Yeah.
Keeper.
Improv. It's beautiful.
Yeah, the lawnmower started right outside. Remember, we only had one take because
yes, that is very true. For Bebop, we were recording it outside, and then was it a school right? Yeah, school's right behind you. And then here comes the maintenance. Turns on the lawnmower.
We started to record. So once they drove up far, let's play real quick before they.
Yep, and we got it in. It all works out.
And I think that's awesome because sometimes when you have those constraints, you can't get in your head. You're like, okay, let's do it because the lawnmower is going to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather than
very true.
Perfectionistic.
Yes, nothing about that.
Nothing about that.
In our game. Right. We got a little,
Did you?
But not. We try to stay away from that.
Well, I know we said we were going to end at 6,
yes.
Michael. We've gone over time. So what do you want to say to people?
Well, first of all, I want to thank everyone for being here. I want to thank Racial Justice from the Heart. I want to thank Crystal and Matt, and thank you, David. And I also would like to say that there's more to come next week. So next week we have more poetry, set to poems by one of my former students and a Music for Everyone student and mentor, recent graduate from McCaskey, Tabitha Weeks. And we also are setting some works to by Dominic Jordan, who has an organization here in Lancaster called True to You, who is and just an incredible inspiration to the youth in this community. And it'll be really, really exciting. And then also visual artist and poet and author Mimi Shapiro. We're going to be setting music to some of her artwork, and Mr. Woodson and I already have been creating this, conceptualizing all of these. And then my mom is a great poet.
Is she going to be featured next week
She'll
too?
be featured next week as well.
Wow, so a lot of different voices.
Yeah, there'll be many different voices next week.
Great.
Yes.
Well,
and I think we're going to tag team Tabitha's poem with one of yours.
One of mine. So you're the host, but I just want to say thank you. I think you did a fabulous job. I think the Jamanis Project and I don't know if this is called Jamming with Jamanis or Sundays with Michael.
We haven't come up with a name yet.
Okay, the Matt Woodson
put them
years.
In. A few people have chimed in. Put it in the email me. I know I've requested. There'll be an announcement of what the name actually is.
Ooh, a name reveal
next Sunday.
Oh.
Okay. Did I miss anything? I think we pretty much got it all.
I'm a little doubtful about the name reveal. But
I have an idea about
you do?
the name
okay.
for me, but I'm a little partial to it.
I didn't get to say that I wanted to make sure that you all knew about my Black Girl Magic album.
Yes.
I forgot to bring it up.
I think
so. I'm not sure if it's in the chat or not.
It might be.
But it's been a pleasure to be with you. Beautiful to be with Crystal, Focus Dodd, David Etheridge, the Matt Woodson. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. We have to go pick up our dog.
We have to go pick up the dog from Doggy Day Camp.
All right, see you guys. Glad to be here.
Bye.
And we'll leave the meeting open here just for a minute so everybody can grab the links in the chat. The link for the Jamanis Project is Dr. Kemp's albums in there, and a link for the Crispus Attucks Community Center.
Crystal, I want you to check out my album. Maybe we should collaborate. Okay, bye.